And so I wanted to talk to you guys today about just toxic chemicals and ways that we can really kind of minimize our risk through environmental toxins, personal care products, household products, just ways to minimize those toxins. I think of genetics as kind of loading the gun, right? And environmental toxins pulls the trigger. So we can have genetic variations that predispose us to certain conditions, but then we have these environmental triggers that really have even a larger impact than even the genetic variabilities. We know that we're living in this toxic environment. We kind of are just swarming in this toxic soup. It's interesting because the average newborn has about 287 chemicals found in the umbilical cord, and 217 are neurotoxic. If you think about that, this is a brand new baby coming into this world already exposed to these toxins, which can be quite terrifying. And the average adult carries about 700 toxins. So, again, just alarming, and we need to figure out how we can minimize this risk. There are more than 80,000 chemicals registered for use in the US today, and many of these have not even been tested, any safety testing by the government. We need to take it upon ourselves to really find out what these toxins are and how to minimize. A couple of the different environmental toxins that we're exposed to on a regular basis are nonstick cookware. So in our kitchen, these nonstick cookware can contain chemicals that actually release a gas when they are heated. This has been linked to different types of cancers, kidney, testicular cancer, even things like obesity and low birth weight, preeclampsia. In this realm, we want to really focus on cookware that is some healthier options would be stainless steel, could be lead-free ceramic. One of my personal favorites is cast iron skillets, and then glass. Those are safer alternatives. Soaps, antibacterial soaps, and hand sanitizers that we have just come out of this 2, 3 years of just nonstop use of. Hand sanitizer can contain triclosan, which actually, again, is toxic. And so we need to make sure that we're using, obviously, hand washing, hand hygiene is very important, but looking at the ingredients, using things like doTERRA. There is a company called Everyday. Attitude is another company that carries clean products. And then there's another one called Soap for Goodness Sake. So those are just better alternatives to hand soap. We prefer washing your hands anyway over hand sanitizers because your skin has normal bacteria on it that are meant to be there, and it's protective. And so we don't want to constantly use these hand sanitizers that are kind of stripping our skin of these good bacteria. Another thing that we're commonly exposed to is BPA. These BPA is found in food containers, can be plastic water bottles, receipts. So a lot of times when I go to the store, I don't need the receipt. I'll just say, no receipt, or email the receipt. Canned food. So when you go to the store, if you're getting canned food, like we'll often get coconut, organic coconut milk. Look for the coconut milk with like a BPA free liner. So that's an option with some of the canned foods. And then just minimizing your amount of canned food exposure as well. In terms of food containers, really trying to switch that out to glass versus the plastic. You definitely don't want to heat the plastic. So if you use it for storage in the refrigerator, that's okay. Still, glass is preferred, but definitely do not put it in the microwave. Don't put it in the dishwasher. There was a point in time where I just looked in my kitchen and I kind of just wanted to clean house. And so I got rid of all the plastic, and my husband's like, well, now we have nothing. We had to replace it all, and that takes some time. So don't think you have to do it overnight, but these are just little things that you can do periodically over time. Phthalates are found in plastic containers. It's found in makeup, children's toys, shampoo, and this has been linked to hormonal changes, birth defects, and even cancer. So looking for phthalate-free is the best way to go. And then you have cleaning solutions. Of course, these can be loaded with toxins. And so I really look for a cleaning solution for the home. doTERRA has a good line. I think Seventh Generation is a cleaner brand. Norwex is another safer option, and it's just rags. So there's no spray involved with Norwex. So they have different cleaning rags. Let's see. Even things like lawn care, all the chemicals that we're spraying on these weeds. We actually use a company that's an organic lawn care. I think it's called Good Nature. And so less chemicals, because if you think about all this chemical seeping into your soil, you're drinking that water. And so that's just another way that we are exposed. I really like the environmental working group. I think I've shared this with you guys before, Beth. I know we've talked about this several times, but it's an app that you can download on your phone, and it's called Healthy Living, and it is a fantastic app. So it looks like this. And then it's really cool because there's this option to scan down here, and you can just go to the grocery store, pick up, let's say, some shampoo, and you can scan that and it'll give you a rating in terms of the toxic chemicals. So usually 0 to 10. So I really shoot for products that are, 2 or below, maybe 3, but that is a great app and a great tool that you can use to start to get more familiar with what products carry the least amount of toxins. So that's a great one I like. In terms of makeup, Mineral Fusion is good. You can find that at Whole Foods. Beauty Counter is a great company that they match the European standards. Jane Irondale, Tarte. So those are a few of my favorites. Shampoo, Attitude is another one. I think I mentioned that earlier with hand soap. Again, soap for goodness sake. There's another one that's called Everyone, Alfalfa. So again, just kind of familiarizing yourself with those chemicals that are in some of the products that we just use day in and day out. So you could even download the app, look at your products that you have at home, start to scan those barcodes and see what that toxic load looks like. And again, it might not always scan the product. Sometimes if it's a newer product, not everything is uploaded to this app. Sometimes you have to plug in separate ingredients, but it's a nice tool. Bar soap, you could do charcoal bar soap. Body wash, I really like Dr. Bronner's. Even Dove is good, but I just make sure to get the sensitive skin bar. Deodorants, there's chemicals in deodorants, and if you think about it, you're putting it right up in where all of your lymph nodes sit. I really like, it's called Native deodorant. I will say this one is interesting because people are like, it just doesn't work. If you're using these products, you most likely will still sweat a little bit. It helps with the odor, but we think of sweating as a bad thing. Actually, sweating is very good. It's part of our body's way of detoxifying. We sweat when we're exercising. It's our body's way of detoxifying, and those toxins are able to exit through the skin. So sweating is good. Now, if you're in a situation where you're giving a big presentation, maybe use the regular deodorant, but little bits at a time where we're able to incorporate these cleaner products is ideal. I know we've talked about nail polish before, Piggy paint. There's a line called Sophie, Sophi, that's good. Talked about cleaning products. So actionable steps. Obviously, we want to use low or non-VOC paints if we're doing any remodeling in the home. Furniture, you want to look for furniture without flame retardants, because again, that can be a toxic compound. Air purifiers, anything with a HEPA filter is excellent. We purchased one, gosh, it was probably almost a year ago. And I'm drawing a blank on the name of the actual purifier, but so any type of air purifier with the HEPA filter is great. Switching your cookware to glass or cast iron skillet. There's another company called Caraway brand. They have an entire set. It's a little pricey, but it's ceramic and it does not contain any of the harmful chemicals. So that's a great one as well if you're looking to switch those out. Avoid drinking out of plastic water bottles. Use either stainless steel or glass. You can get the glass water bottles with a silicone casing to prevent them from cracking and breaking, or just stainless steel. You can even get the stainless steel straws. Water filtration. I always love to have like a reverse osmosis in the home to filter that water, if not for a whole house, at least for your drinking water. The Berkeley water filtration is also a really nice system. And then replacing any carpet. Carpet is actually one of the most toxic compounds that you can include in your home. So when you're remodeling, I like to incorporate some hardwood floor. Solid hardwood is probably the safest of all flooring options.
We've got regards to the water, usually I buy water from Costco, like those 40 pack water bottles. I mean, those still come in plastic water bottles. I was just curious, do I store them somewhere before I drink or?
Anything that comes in plastic is not my favorite, I'll be honest, whether it's, the individual, whether it's the big container, just because you don't know how that product was delivered, shipping. It could have been sitting on a truck that, in 100-degree heat. That amount that you're drinking out of that plastic, not the best option. I would probably prefer like a filtration system like the Berkeley, if you could. If not, like a reverse osmosis would be. And I think Costco actually has a RO system that you can install. I think they have a couple different options actually. Check that out. Because if you think about all the money you're spending, do you get the big jugs? Is that what?
No, I usually get those 40, 16-ounce bottles, the
Okay.
pack of bottles, and I usually get 3 or 4 of them whenever I go to Costco.
Okay. But it's plastic
So,
container.
yeah, plastic
Yeah.
small 16 ounces.
Okay, okay. So I would think about, and again, it doesn't have to be overnight, but investing in some sort of water filtration system. One, it's probably in the long run, if you think about the money that you're spending on buying the water, if you could have your own system kind of built in. Now, of course, you usually will have the cost of filters, replacing filters. In the long run, the health benefit, not to mention environmental too,
For
it's so much better for the environment. So yeah, I would probably switch that over to a water filtration system or RO or something like that. That's a good question. And, BPA, it's a hormone disruptor. People don't realize, when we talk about hormones, we really need to focus in on how that can actually disrupt your sex hormones, your estrogen. And so it's definitely a benefit to switch that out and have some sort of filtration system. Another reason to have a filtration system versus just drinking tap water is all of the compounds that can be found in tap water, even medications that can be found in some of this water is really quite harmful. So definitely filtration or RO would be the way to go. Let's see. Now Costco does have, can't think of the name of the water, but it's comes in glass bottles, Pellegrigio, I think. But
yeah,
obviously that's a little pricey. So
yeah.
sometimes we'll get that, but
I
yeah.
think they have the sparkling water and the regular Filipino water.
Yes, yep. And even, my kids like some of those carbonated beverages. Costco sells those too, but I don't love drinking out of the aluminum cans. We're kind of boring. It's a lot of water. Unfortunately, I'm not the cool mom. So yeah, cleaning products, nonstick cookware, like I mentioned, that Caraway brand is good. Air fresheners you want to try to avoid. Instead, maybe use a diffuser. That's a much better option. Candles, those can be toxic. And for fragrances, I usually recommend more like essential oils. And just think about we've talked about this at length, but with your food, all of the artificial ingredients and colors, different artificial colors that are in your food supply. My little girl was sick a few weeks ago and had to get her fever down, went to the store to get ibuprofen, and I look at it and there's food coloring in it. Why? It doesn't need to be colored. She doesn't care if it's orange, pink, So there's just so many toxic chemicals in our food supply. So if you look at that ingredient list and there's something in that list that you don't have in your pantry, then probably put it back because it's somewhere made in a lab, it's processed, it's artificial, it's just not meant to be in your body. So just kind of pay attention to those food labels when you're shopping around the grocery store. And then even things like your mattress, believe it or not, can contain toxic chemicals. We purchased a mattress that's called, maybe Mind Green mattress, but there's another company called Avocado, and then Hapsy is another company that contains just 100% cotton. Different ones have different types of mattresses. That's something where you're sleeping on, you're sleeping on that. We have to think about that too as well. It's a lot to think about, and it's definitely not anything you want to try to tackle all at once. So maybe pick a small area, whether that's, let's say it's cleaning products, and you really start to hone in on how can I turn these cleaning products and make them less toxic. So you're getting rid of the bleach and ammonia and some of those toxic chemicals. And then maybe you move to the kitchen a few weeks later and you kind of look around and think, let me start to fade out some of the plastic, some of the cookware that's toxic, and some of those areas. So just kind of try to think where you would maybe have the highest toxic load in your life, whether that's personal care products, cleaning products, home products, and then really kind of focus in on that and make some small changes because small changes lead to big changes. And that's ultimately what we want. But nothing that happens overnight for sure, unless you're like me and just throw out all your plastic or recycle. We recycle.